There we go. And we're going to switch to live here. Okay. We are live on Twitch. Now, Discord, for everyone who's in our Discord, you won't be able to see your chat from Discord. If you want to talk to people and stuff, you will have to jump on to Twitch. So that is also something important. One of these days, I'll be able to figure out how to add the YouTube and the Twitch chat together. But until that day happens, we are stuck doing this. All right. So we have one hot take so far. Now, we can also start it off with just the two of us, Orion, with
Yes, sir.
Giacomo not being here, everyone's deciding not to come to this tabletop hot takes, and that's okay. That's okay. Yeah,
You mean
no.
Giacomo brings all the girls to the yard
Yes, yes,
and
he
the
does.
boys?
Yes. Orion, do you have any hot takes just off the bat?
Oh, sure. In general, yeah, sure. Yeah, totally. Yes, yeah. Known for hot takes. Geez. See, I think Abraham Lincoln, he knew about 9/11, and that's why he was assassinated.
Okay,
Uh,
that's fair.
yeah, I think that we'll start right off the bat there. That's my
Right
hot
off the
take.
bat. Right off the bat. That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Here's a hot take. I really enjoyed the our the last episode we did with you with the find the squigs. It did really well in the podcast format, but not as well on the
Oh,
YouTube
yeah.
format.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. That would be my hot take. I think that episode, it's certainly not biased in any way, shape, or form. I think that episode was the greatest Squad Games podcast and video that nobody knows about.
Yes, I would agree. I would agree. It relatively does not do particularly. It never got going. It never got going. So
I know it's up to these wonderful people to make it going, though. That's the
yeah,
thing.
you're not wrong. That's find the squig for anyone who goes back to our YouTube and checks it out. Um, it is where Orion is a war boss, and me and Giacomo are also war bosses, and we're trying to find a squig hidden in different kill zones. It's quite entertaining.
It's a
There's
very
at
fun
least
game.
yeah.
Yeah, mix of like hide and seek with some very, very stupid and fun moves. If you're here to listen to things that are vaguely Warhammer related with people that you know, that's gonna get you a laugh or two. It's worth a listen.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's a good time. So hopefully somebody will like it and watch it and have some fun. But we also have had Orion on our podcasts quite a lot for um oh, we lost him. That's all right, he'll be
I
back.
don't know what happened.
uh, we lost your video feed,
Oh no! What happened to my camera?
which
Oh
which
no!
which does
Hold
not
on.
matter for our podcast listeners. um
Let me see.
but
Hold on.
but
Wait,
we
wait, wait, wait.
also regularly pull him on for his takes on the meta. And so we do a lot of balance, kind of like tier lists, clickbait tier lists with Orion, which we have not done a tier list yet. We plan on doing so, but I would actually like to run an event rather than just do the standard Murder Wings or S tier kind of thing, going on. So yeah.
Which they're
Um,
not.
it's fair. See, that's a hot take. That's a hot take, Orion.
No, it shouldn't be. I think people are just delirious.
All right, that's fair. That is fair.
Uh,
You might have to explain yourself on that one.
Yeah, it says my camera is on, so now I'm very confused. My computer's having a hot take right now.
That is fair. Let me see if I can fix. Uh,
I'm just gonna ignore the Ravenous succulent comment. I think we can just not talk about that one.
which one?
Somebody
There's
just
there's a
somebody.
Ravener comment. All
Oh
right.
yeah, it's a comment. All right.
Okay. So we have we're gonna pull on our first hot taker. Or actually, Orion, before we do you want to explain why you think Murder Wing is not an S tier?
Yeah, I guess. I think it's conditionally an S tier for teams that it already hits all of its mechanics dumpster.
Sure.
But certain teams that can handle one Marine going in, charging and killing them, and then clapping back on the Marine.
Mm-hmm.
I think they can handle the aggression that Murderwings can put out is very good if you
Mhm.
let them get aggressive plays. But if you let them trade like 1-for-1s, which things like a lot of elf teams can do, like Hand of
Okay.
the Archon, Blades of Cain, Goremongers, those teams can spread out easily enough to where they don't let the Murderwings get 2-for-1 trades, and then you just slap them out of attrition because they don't have a lot of damage negation if you go charge them or you go shoot them.
Mm.
Everything they do is on their activation. So if they trade 1-for-1, and then sometimes they don't because they don't have good rerolls. Um, I think the cases I've seen so far are teams that cannot kill Marines already, and they're being punished even further just by Marines being ridiculous in that sense. But teams that can handle them, as long as the person knows how to play against the Murderwings and not just shit their pants that Marines can, get into the lines immediately turn two.
Mhm.
As long as you keep it cool and take the fight to them, I don't think they're S tier.
That's fair. Okay. All right.
And even on Tomb World, it gets a whole lot easier.
Yeah, Tomb World is much harder for them to really uh do kind of gain the upper hand and then keep it, but I do still think the rest here, so you did not sway me, but that is okay.
Hey, I don't have to. You can just play Murderwings, and then I'll beat you, and then we'll go from there.
So we're gonna pull on our first hot take here. It is going to be from Lifted Ground. Lifted Ground, if you could accept the invite to speak on, there we go. Lifted Ground, where are you calling in from?
Brooklyn, New York. Let me throw on my AirPods. I can't believe I was not prepared for this.
Oh, amazing. Gotta love it.
Man's been sitting here this whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Can you guys hear me now?
I can.
Yeah.
See if I can
Excellent.
fix. Go ahead. So what is your hot take, brother?
Well, I finally got to go to Worlds last year, which was a whole lot of fun. But I think they should wait for the new missions after Worlds. Like they should use Worlds as like a promotion. Like, oh, now that we've competed on the missions that we use to get to Worlds, then they should announce, all right, this is the new missions coming out. Kind of generate hype that way. I personally didn't enjoy having to scramble last minute to figure out like new missions and stuff, and then a balance patch comes out like a month before. So nothing crazy. I wouldn't say it's really hot take per se, but just
I think it's a
something that I put
very
out
fair
there.
take. I think that's a genuinely good criticism of the Worlds format.
I think
Why,
that,
thank you.
well, I mean, I think it's a pretty good hot take too. Sorry for the video format on Twitch, everyone. We will
I'm
work
trying to
through
get my
those.
camera fixed. I don't know what's happening with it.
Oh,
We
we're
will.
doing video. Okay. I'm painting and I look like shit, so don't worry.
I might be
I think
able
a
to.
FEMO for all of us.
There we go. We have half of Joey.
There we go. Oh, I gotta
yeah,
raise my light, I guess.
yeah. All right. So we will fix these after this call. It is what it is. So
Stealth suits, yay.
nice, nice. So
These
I
guys can
think
beat Murderwing.
the stealth suits can.
Hell yeah.
That's another hot take. That's another hot take. So I think that it's a good criticism as well of the World Championships of Warhammer, but I mean they do come out. The new missions and stuff come out what? If they hold to form, they will come out sometime in September or end of September, right? And then we'll have October, November, and then the early of December. So that's like way more time than we typically have playing with new teams. Normally, new teams have like a 2-week release window, if sometimes even less for some events.
They shouldn't let new teams enter tournaments right away either.
Hmm. That's fair. Orion, what do you think?
So, I'm mostly in the regards to the World specifically. I agree. I look at something like let's just say football. Either one, take your pick. Let's say you qualify for playoffs or something along those lines, and all of a sudden the way you qualified is like, well, actually, there's a different way to score, and actually you had really like a couple months to prepare, that way, even though you had basically a whole year the rest of the time doing the other shit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's necessarily
Yeah.
fair for people to get in that way. and then have to
I'm
play
like with
differently.
Dakota.
It's sort of something similar that Yu-Gi-Oh used to do, where Yu-Gi-Oh, you build your deck, you take it to the event. If you qualified after 2 days, basically, you got to play an alternate format of Yu-Gi-Oh, where you had to like build out of a separate pack and like you had to like kind of pull cards and like draft cards, and it was absolutely insane um, because no one was really prepared for it. You know, we all knew it was coming, but you can't really prepare for that because you played and tested with one thing, and now that you're in the top of the top, you have to play something different. So I kind of feel like World should be expounding upon what you've built to get there, rather than you've got here, here's a whole nother ballgame.
Yeah.
They do follow that with the teams. We didn't see the teams leave competitive play and get classified until after the World Championships of Warhammer as
Well,
well.
depends on who
They
you're
shouldn't
talking
be classifying teams mid-edition. I got too many hot takes now. Oh my god.
You do have a lot of hot takes. So, yeah, I mean, I personally don't mind it. In fact, as an organizer, I like when things change. For instance, when things change right before LVO, we try to accommodate those changes. Um, and LVO has been the world's largest event for quite some time. We haven't had to deal with, the September release until this past year, which was rather challenging for having like zero FAQs about the half of the anything to do with like retrieval and all these things and like martyrs and expendables. Um, it was really difficult as an organizer. So I think that it's valid on two fronts. I think that the packet should come back. Oh, there we have Orion back. I think that they should come back sooner, right? Or they should be released sooner, or we should. I mean, I don't mind the take that we do it afterwards, but I do like the freshness and kind of seeing the adaptability of players and seeing how much we can adapt. Um, because that's what the championships is for, right? Other than, the format and stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree too much with you because I do think I would like to see the window change, but it is what it is.
I mean, there's a separate thing that we suffered from as well, which was an edition change, where
Yes.
people qualified in one edition and then it switched to a new edition, which again,
Oh
I've been to
yeah.
every World so far. And
Mhm.
that by far was the worst because there's a ton of players that are playing things wrong. And it's not their fault. It's just you don't have enough time to test an entirely new edition against all these new teams, against all these new scenarios. Like, it's just not going to work for even some of the most competitive players because, again, money's not on the line here. So it's not like we're putting our livelihoods aside to try and make this work. So, that will still happen if we follow the same uh, schedule releases.
No,
It won't happen for a
absolutely.
little bit, but it gets infinitely worse when that one happens. It's like the El Nino of Predops.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they keep to that same format whenever Kill Team does refresh again, whether that's next year or the year after, because eventually Kill Team will have another refresh, right? So, and it'll be interesting to see if they liked the change or if they did not like the change of running the brand new event at the World Championships with so little time to learn it. Because I know for when I went, because that's the year that I went to Worlds, right? And play as a player, right? And played.
Yeah, I've never heard you bitch so much.
You're not wrong. You're not. Double guard was a thing. I was very upset. It does not also help that I chose like the second worst faction in the game to play it there.
Yeah, but honestly, most of us didn't even know that it was the second worst faction.
True. True.
It was one of those
At
things
least your
where
team didn't get nerfed a month before Worlds. Okay.
What was your team?
Void Dancers.
And Gellerpox, right? For Orion also got nerfed.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that wasn't the team nerf. That was an Orion nerf.
Yes, that was definitely an Orion.
Orion, please
I
don't
made
win
history on
Worlds.
that one.
Yeah, because you were the only person finding any success with Gellerpox whatsoever. So
Yeah, there's like one or two players who had a good run here and there, but I was putting up 99% of the stats. And then, yeah, that happens for some reason. So again, in that vein as well,
Blame
having
Cyrac.
Yeah, everything changed. Well, Cyrek was last edition,
That's true.
so
He
this was
was.
still beyond
I
that.
just
Yeah.
blame all nerfs to teams that I play on him. That's all. Okay.
Yeah, no, when he was playing them, they were actually fine. And then I guess the edition changed and destroyed them. And then they slowly built back up, and then I ruined it again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't have nice things.
That is why you can't have nice things. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing, the fact that we could still play on the same missions. Um, I just don't know if that'll ever happen, especially if we have that much time to kind of learn and play them. And hopefully, we don't have as many glitches with some of the the crit ops or the tac ops specifically this time around, so hopefully we'll have a little bit nicer of a tac op pack. So we have to wait and see. Joey, we would love to answer some of your other hot takes, but we will move on to the next hot take. All right.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, put the next one in there and we'll pull you back on a little later. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right, brother. All right. Yeah, before we move on, I'm gonna fix this real quick.
Yeah, man. Where's your video? Yeah, I got mine magically fixed somehow.
Yeah, I mean, who knows? All right. So next up, we have. It looks like John F has a hot take. Okay, let's pull John in here. If he would like to jump in. And John, of course, jumps to the other side. Oh, what? There we go. John is in.
I'm unpredictable.
All right. You are unpredictable. I like it. That's my favorite thing. John, thanks for jumping into the show. This is the first time you've called into the show, right?
Yeah, I was actually just like Joe. I was painting in my basement, and then I saw the Discord alert and was like, "Well, I should get on a mic though, and not like talk on my phone where there's bad Wi-Fi." So I made it official.
Like Dakota and not even have a visual. You're doing leagues better than him.
I didn't put on my fancy webcam lighting. This is just casual mode.
There you go. There we go. So, John, where are you calling in from?
I'm from Connecticut.
Connecticut. Awesome.
Yeah, shout out to my New England necked scene, the New England Kill Team scene out here.
Amazing. Good to have you on. What is your hot take?
So my hot take is now just to for the background. I call myself a mid-table enthusiast. I like hanging out in the mid-tables. I like silly matchups and the crazy games that happen on the mid-tables. But I do play a lot, and I love Kill Team. I just am a mid-table enthusiast. But what I've noticed is everyone's getting really good. And, a lot of us started at the edition, and we all played a lot of games together. Shout out to the Battle Standard, where there's a great weekly game. But, we do run tournaments. Everyone kept getting better and better and better. And now, I play with people that I play all the time, and every game's this, sweat fest. Not because we're, super competitive, but it's hard. Everyone got, really good at everything really fast. And then, so, I'm either playing these games that are, really difficult and challenging, yet fun, right? Or I'm, teaching a new player and playing someone that plays, once a month and just rolling them, right? I kind of oh, they, and I'm not using all my team's abilities. I'm not using gotchas, but it's still, hard. It's still, hard. So I'm having these weird experiences where, I can't just play a casual game. Either I'm playing something really difficult with friends or people that play a lot, or I'm just demolishing a newer player or something like that. I get the mid games here and there sometimes, but it's not like a casual game anymore for me, So that's my hot take. And I don't think it's a bad game. It's just I'm looking at AOS just so I can eat pretzels and drink beer and throw dice and monsters at people, just because Kill Team's getting a little it's just crunchy and hard right now. And it's still great. I'm still playing a lot. I'm not going to stop playing, but that's my hot take about Kill Team right now.
Ryan, would you like to respond before I do?
Well, sure, I can. I can offer a verdict and a solution. I know, I'm all in one on this bad boy.
You are wrong and should go play Trench Crusade. That's what you're going to say.
Yes. So I would agree with you that, the game, a lot of players are getting better, and that is to the fault of people like Dakota, who put out a lot of good content and teach people how to get better. There's, more and more people are consuming more media on Kill Team. opposed to when Kill Team first started. Because I've been there for it all. When Kill Team first started, there wasn't a lot of content on how to get better, how to play better. In fact, some of the best players who were making content were just straight up cheating.
You're not wrong.
Some of those things just didn't work.
Yes.
So part of it is people have the opportunity to get better, and they will just naturally playing games. And if they get their ass kicked, they can go to Discord and ask, "Hey, how do I not get my ass kicked again?" So I think the take is pretty valid that the games are everyone's getting better. On the real casual side, though, I think that comes down to if you have people that also sort of feel a similar way and just want to like relax and play a game, you guys need to set some sort of standard where it's just like, hey, we're in casual mode today. Like, I didn't come to train for a tournament. I didn't come to train for, Worlds coming up. I just came because I wanted to throw some dice. So in that regard, if you have other people like that who want to do that, just pick some teams, go maybe ban attack or ban, like a firefight play from somebody that's normally like a really hard thing to play around, and kind of make it a more casual game without having to, play baby mode or, just everybody's on engage and everybody shoots all the time, where you can still keep some sort of level of competitive, but just reduce the amount of things that can happen, I guess, just to make it a more fun game. Now, finding somebody who also wants to do that is obviously its own thing. I've met a ton of people who want to do stuff like that.
Yeah, I started bringing out multiple teams. Like, start bringing around like my, I main Chaos Cult for competitive stuff and Pathfinders for casual mode. But even so, like sometimes like Pathfinders still blow away newer players because their guns are just so good, right?
Mhm.
Well, yeah, Pathfinders wouldn't necessarily be the team I'd be racking out.
Yeah.
For fun. I can't think of a less fun team to play against, because even though they're not that good, they're just so annoying to pay attention to.
When I think of fun, I think of like I think of like Rekkas, So I agree wholeheartedly with you. I think that even games here at the stream and stuff like that, Giacomo's getting a lot better, and I'm also getting better. And I went to an event for the first time in 365 days, and I got lucky enough and I won that event, but in a duos tournament. But there was chill, but there wasn't as much chill as we've seen with the past edition or just in general. And I think that has to do with the rules set that we are given, right? So everyone isn't. So this is the reason why I created something called Squad Ops. I don't know if you've heard it yet.
Yep.
So I created Squad Ops because like I felt the exact same way as you did. And also I had to create Squad Ops for the Boys Bash, which is our once a year event where we do crazy things. Imagine if 2 orc war bosses were running an event. I dress up like an orc war boss and everyone has fun, That's why we have 42 people, like it's sold out, happening next week. But like, I think a lot of people online are just too focused on winning, and this edition is just focused on winning. What can you do to table your opponent? What can you do to optimize your play? There's nothing happening turning point 1, so every game kind of feels the same. We have the same kind of objectives in the center of the board, and you have the same kind of objective or engaging pattern that you would have with your, this fucking Twitch comment just got tilted me. Oh my God. I look like Master Splinter. Are you fucking kidding me? You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm shaving it off for the Boys Bash, okay, this Saturday. I didn't want to have to shave beforehand. Okay, sorry. Thank you, Code Mac, for fucking derailing my ADD brain. Okay. But yeah, I think Kill Team is in an interesting spot because so at my events specifically, I focus on hobbiness. I focus on like hobby and sportsmanship at every single one of my events because Kill Team is so innately competitive and such a tight rule set that we have right now. I don't have to focus whatsoever on competitive. And I think that that's something that when we play in casual games, that's something that also should be kind of the norm, is like we just focus on having fun and stuff like that. Cause no matter what, the game is going to be tight, especially with these teams that keep coming out that are overtuned and the meta that's changing and stuff like that. And then, some lower skill players can play a higher powered team to kind of differentiate the gap. And if a good player plays one of those same teams, they just wreck people. So, it's an interesting meta for sure, and an interesting time. And I think there's like a competitive fatigue that is happening with Kill Team, which is something that I don't know how to address.
I feel it. I'm like, at the same time, I play all the time, and I want to go again, but I just need something lighter sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Just trying to hang out with the boys, and I got like sweating through
2v2s
moves.
are also great for that. I found 2v2s or three-way battles
amazing.
really ruin all of that, because if someone tries to play like sweaty, it just doesn't work, because they just get the shit pushed in. Because everything you've learned conventionally just doesn't work.
It's just all nonsense. Yeah.
Yeah, and it kind of just comes down to like, well, let's see who can kill the most. And it ends up being very fun. So in that sense, like I said, I would recommend just doing some other styles of things every now and again. Like every now and again, when we do tournaments down here, if we have an odd number, we're just like, fuck it, all three of us get in, let's do something, rather than one person just go home.
Like we did do one of the organizers here, Chris. He did like a narrative event, which was really cool, and we did like a Succotash tournament where we banned like S and A tier teams. So you play with like the B. Everyone brings what they love, not what's powerful, So that's usually pretty cool. So we are trying things, but yeah, there was like the sense of like competitive fatigue, and I'm still going to a GT in a month, right? I'm still doing it, but
yeah,
it's just
a
lot.
It doesn't feel like it used to, and I think that's we're losing a little bit of the charm, and hopefully we get either some teams or some kind of updates in the future that kind of bring back some of that love. You know what I mean? And I think that is, you are feeling something a lot of people are feeling. So I don't feel like you're the only one, but Orion made a good thing. Play some doubles, play some narrative games. If you go to squadgames.net and go to our downloads page, you can check out our narrative pack. Our most recent narrative pack is better than our 2024 one. Try one of our narrative games, with some NPOs in it. Also a great doubles format is when you have you and your buddy play each half of a team and you round up. So if you have 5 operatives, now you have 3. If you have 7.
There's a store in Massachusetts that does those. Norton Battlegrounds or something. Battlegrounds Norton, I think they got something going on. So yeah, there's other cool modes.
Also, team events. Team events are hella great, So that, and I'd say like focus on hobby, and I think that might reinvigorate, because it has to come from like a community standard. It can't just be you, but you could lead the way. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. No, I'm running a league actually, which I think will tone things down. Half the prizes are like not going to be wins based; they're just like community based, like playing new teams and doing other things. And
cool.
The hobbies get out of control because I have too many teams I'm not playing.
And
I'm like painting another one. I'm like,
that's fair.
Yeah, I disagree on the hobby part. The less hobby I can do, the better. I just want to play. I think that's Dakota's hot take. Oh, don't enjoy the game so much. We'll just paint more. No, I don't want to paint, Dakota. Get out of here.
I would love to paint more, but I'm sitting in front of a damn camera half the time.
Awesome brushes, out of here.
Or my son is out there breaking his arm half the time, like we're doing all crazy stuff. The world is crazy these days. But yeah, John, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for your hot take. Thank you for coming on, appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for fighting the good fight at the mid tables.
Hell
That's
yeah.
where some of the best players are.
I'm a mid-table enthusiast. I like it. I like it there. It's nice.
Hell yeah. That's actually the best place to be. When you start getting up at the top tables, it's too much stress.
I don't want that pressure. I got nothing to prove. I just want to roll some dice and
shoot
some
how much do I want to sweat right here? Do I want to sweat?
I don't want
to. Yeah, exactly.
I'm already sweat enough.
Who wants to go running and jogging?
Man, I do awful plays all the time, and they still send me up to the top table. It doesn't. I hate it.
That's fair. All right. Well, I appreciate you, John. We're gonna pull on another hot take. Okay.
All right. So you guys have a good one.
All right, brother. Peace. All right. Next up, we have Marty. Marty is. I know. Oh gosh. Marty, we're gonna pull you on. Yeah, Marty, we're gonna pull you in here. Marty's awesome man. He helps us run
Howdy.
our streams at LVO. So we will. Marty, how's it going?
Doing all right. Doing all right. How about yourselves?
Oh,
Doing well
fantastic.
as
Thank
well.
you for asking, Mr. Marty.
Oh, look at that! Look how awesome and
Can't wait
handsome
to
Marty
work.
is. Look at
Oh,
this.
very
Look at this.
handsome.
So, Marty,
Anyway.
what is your hot take?
You want like new takes or do you want nuclear hot takes? Because I have some of those too.
Oh God. Tell
It's
us
your
what
show.
it's you get to dictate it. Go for it.
Well, no, I think we could actually. This is a horrible take, but I think we could actually learn something a little bit with what they did with Warcry. I think we
Okay.
need decks for our kill zones.
Decks for your kill zones.
I think we
This is
actually
a
need ones
nuclear hot take.
that
Okay.
mess with your deployment, that trigger events, or even like weight things on the battlefield a little bit. I think we need like ways to change the experience without them just selling us a bunch more plastic and blowing up everything
Okay.
from time to time.
So do you think that this should be the competitive norm, or should this be released in like a box set, let's say like Descent did, and then it's up to the community whether or not they want to adopt it? Or do you think it should just be like a core part of the game?
I think it's a matter of scale. I think there's like mild stuff that should probably be part of competitive because I think what happens as the competitive environment extends is people get complacent, things become rote. The missions are the missions, the maps are the maps. There are roadblocks. There's things that have just become way too reliable,
Mhm.
especially when you play sweaty. And like whenever I've played any other games, I've always loved the adaptive versions of them. Like I played Magic the Gathering competitively. I qualified for the Pro Tour a couple of times.
Wow. This is
Limited
something I did
is-
not know about, Marty.
Limited is that was way back before I started painting models and doing more chill stuff, but did that back in college. We don't talk about it. But I always found Booster Draft and even Sealed Deck was a way more engaging format than Constructed was because everything just became really deterministic. You tried hard enough. If you were following online meta, if you were testing every day, everything was rote by the end. It was really not a fun game to play anymore. I feel like Kill Team, especially as it gets long in the cycle, the maps wear out and it just becomes anticlimactic at the higher tables. It really does. And I
Okay.
feel like on the flip side, if everybody has the same chance of things catching fire and having to deal with it, then it evens itself out over time, right? And I think that also you can have a system like that where you also have like hot salsa type options in the deck where you can focus them more on narrative or keeping your league lively or doing other things like that. But like one of the things I really miss is Arena. I miss Kill Team Arena. I loved that board. It
Yeah,
had like
Arena's awesome.
4 different boards
I
on
thought
the
you're talking to some arena enjoyers right now.
and then the maps could be mixed up. I think the one thing that was missing from Arena was the randomization element. I feel like a dungeon deck for Arena would turn it into a whole new beast. Like if imagine a Kill Team mission where you were actually trying to get things out of there, or when the environment was lashing out at you more. You open a room and what's in it? I don't know. Draw from the deck and find out. That appeals to a broader, not necessarily broader. It broadens the appeal of the game with more options that are available, especially people that might be more into miniatures coming from things like Gloomhaven and those other big box like adventure sort of board games.
Mhm.
I feel like it's really like a missed opportunity that there is nothing like that for Warhammer.
So
Maybe it's Warhammer's more RPG-ish.
So what's awesome, Marty, is that us as the community, we get to make stuff like that now. Unfortunately, Games Workshop has not decided that. I don't think that Games Workshop has decided that Kill Team is that kind of game. It definitely seems like they went like, hey, this is the most hyper competitive version of Warhammer, right? So we are kind of seeing that happen. And with hyper competitive stuff, they want to minimize the amount of randomness in the game. And I think also with so many factions, I think that a card deck would go hard. And I think that that would be something really fun to work on for like some sort of like alternative Into the Dark type of dungeon crawl. That would be a lot of fun. I think that's a good take. I have a hot take. I think Arena is just as good now as it was back in 2020 or 2019 when it released.
If nothing else, at least the doors don't become ticky-tack terrain that people fight over, right? Just leave the
Just
board.
remove it.
No
Yeah,
longer
just
a problem.
remove it. So we last summer, me and Giacomo played on almost every single Arena board. And they were great.
I got to
Absolutely
experience the
awesome.
Magic at All Valley team tournament last year.
You did, right? Yeah,
And
because
an Arena
there
map
was so much.
and a Pariah Nexus map.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Really
it was
cool.
awesome.
I
Orion,
never had
have
the pleasure of playing on Pariah Nexus.
you haven't? So it's interesting.
No, I haven't.
Pariah Nexus is way cooler when you allow jumping from the kill zone floor to jump over
Yeah.
the hazardous terrain. That's why in Squad Ops, I added the rule for Beta Decima that you can jump over the hazardous terrain from the kill zone floor, because I already experimented with that in some of the Pariah Nexus maps, which are absolutely phenomenal. Wonderful. In fact, I think some of the Pariah Nexuses that were sitting in like some of the stores for like 5 years finally sold, because people were like, they saw them on our Twitch and were like, I'm going to try this, and did it and had fun, Going back to the cards though, I guess we'll go back to the hot take. Ryan, what do you think about the cards?
Man, has anyone ever tried these? These are cards that they released for Kill Team.
Okay.
They're Blood and Zeal specific.
Uh-huh.
I was always excited to see if they would ever play out, but I don't think anyone ever used them. I'm pretty sure they all went into the trash. But
they're kind of weighted towards the scenarios in the narrative book for Blood and Zeal. They feel like they're a little bit too flavorific.
These were very specific on just like generic game actions, like +1 move, use this blood card. When you're fighting, you can inflict D3 additional damage. It's like cards you had available to you. I forget the system what it was, where you could like draw them for turn or something like that, and just kind of like keep them and play them. So like I think decks of cards would be interesting, but we did have a way to do it at one point, and nobody cared, which made me sad because I actually did care. But
I don't think anybody reviewed them. Like I think like they
that's
might
what I
have
mean.
been
No one.
passing in the unboxing, but everyone was like, "This is not content anyone's going to want to see."
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was one of
think
those.
the system isn't bad.
It was interesting because at the time that those models released, Kill Team was still like really kind of new, and everyone was just like, I just want to play more games. I just want to play more games, rather than like, Kill Team is a little stale right now. Like, how can we freshen it back up? Oh, like that's what everyone's doing with Descent. Everyone's like we had Sheldon calling last week, and he was like, "Oh, Descent's awesome. You should do this and this and this." I'm trying to summon Sheldon here so he can, attack me. But I didn't even know that that's what those Blood and Zeal cards. I like literally, they left my mind. I saw them and I don't know where they are.
Yeah, they'll let you like reroll attack dice, do a double fight or a double shoot, take initiative, free starting action. You can cancel a fight, which is kind of cool. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff in these cards.
That's
Revive
fair.
on 1 wounds. Like, a lot of these would really change up the play, because then people would be like, ooh, I could do this, but what if he has a card that does something? Or, allows enable plays that, traditionally couldn't be there. And, like, they wouldn't have to be, like, team specific. Like you said, they could be kill zone specific or, player specific. The one thing about decks of cards, if you can't have a competitive game and have a variable deck in a lot of cases. But if you have some level of structure where you can roughly build a deck, and then at least know it's in the deck and you have chances to draw good things or bad things, then I think you get some level of competitive success. So at the end of the day, I'm a competitive player. And when you are a competitive player, the less things you have to leave to chance, the more you can try to achieve your goal. So just having
a certain amount of adaptability in there. It's like,
right.
It's kind of like
I wouldn't want to just be
chess
like,
has
oops,
no
this guy
chess,
dies.
just has no adaptability at high levels, like very, very limited. It is a game that it's a fixed information game. You know what all the pieces do. You know where they are on the board. You make your moves, and you're basically just calculating against each other. War games have dice for a reason, right? They're
Mhm.
supposed to be there so that even if you're an really high level player, playing against a mediocre player, you might lose one out of 5 games just because you get dice, right? Or because things don't go your way. And that's why ideally you have the continuum of time to play out so that it sorts out the better players over a lot of experiences rather than just butting heads and eliminating each other in one-offs.
Yep, I would agree. There could be some nice variability in there.
Yeah, I think that would even go hard if somebody like planned a whole event around it. The hard part is if you do that, you kind of have to have either everyone
Invest a lot
have
in
that
it.
deck or yeah, which is always a hit or a miss, Similar to this the Boys Bash. I didn't know how well it was going to do this year. We sold out last year and then sold out again this year, and I think it's partially
Congratulations.
because say it again.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. I think it's difficult because um like the reason why Kill Team doesn't feel stale in my area is because we try to do so many different things and focus on other things. Um, but like, and also I'm constantly trying to innovate. I'm never happy stuck with what we have, always trying to do more, I think that's just part of my passion for the game. But I think the cards is a very interesting thing, and I think maybe I should add that to the narrative for LVO this year. I think that could go pretty hard. That could be fun.
Yeah, I think it's nice when the best laid plans just get unmade sometimes.
Mhm.
The fact that you have to deal with what ifs um more often, it appeals to me. But it's not everybody's cup of tea either. But I think when the game does start to get dry, just releasing 2 more teams and hoping they're so overpowered that they knock everything over and everybody buys them isn't necessarily fixing that problem either.
Yeah, it's
GW.
Oh yeah, that's a different ball game. That's
Yeah.
that's marketing versus
So
game theory versus testing.
So an
Mhm.
interesting halfway point, right, Marty, is something that I did for Squad Ops was I didn't want to make Squad Ops equipment mandatory for people to take in case you wanted to use the equipment. I also required it for your opponent too. It would be interesting. It would be really bad for data, but it would be interesting if they had a very similar thing of like, hey, you guys could use the cards if both players agree on it. You know what I mean? That could be an interesting take on something as well. Like it would make it balanced because both players agree. So
Sure, but so it's something we do down here in Maryland. We do Christmas, which is basically where we have like cookie NPCs and you can eat them and stuff like that. Um, so it's a very fun like 2v1 situation in a lot of cases. But one of the elements that we did add this year that was surprisingly very effective for like shaking up the game, just in general, was whoever was playing the NPCs, which was one of the Plaza Spam members from my team. They had one secret operative that the opponent could know nothing about. They could do an action to get within 6 to discover what the operative was, but it could be any operative in the game. I allowed them to do whatever they wanted to be one. So a lot of most people just straight up ignored it. They're like, "Oh, it's fine. How bad could it be?" And then a Night Lord's Visionary charged into the mystery model. He's like, "All right, I'll hit you with a crit." And one of my guys was like, "Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I'm gonna detonate." And then you just heard the room go wild. Like, what? What do you mean he's detonating? Because he was he had the he was one of the Rekka crew, like the
Oh.
detonate hammer guy.
yeah.
So something like that was really fun. So a little bit of mystery does go a long way, I think. And
Mhm.
something you talked about where like everybody knows what every operative does. I would love to see if Kill Team had more slightly hidden mechanics
That could
where
be
it's
cool.
just like, well, you don't know what keyword this weapon has, but you're
Mhm.
gonna find out.
I love that. And that actually brings me back to my nuclear take. That I kind of wanted to slip in. That knowing what everything does is such a barrier to entry. As the edition gets along and as the roster of classified teams and everything gets really thick, and as you get teams that have like 15 different abilities for Blades of Cain, and every model does something different for Sanctifiers, etc. I feel like we bloated that really badly, and as the number of Snowflake units in teams gets up to like 10, 15, oh, I've got 8 subcards for this ability, and I've got 15 for this ability and everything else, it creates a cognitive load that's really bad for bringing up players that might otherwise want to come into competitive. I feel like I liked the aspects of Kill Team in older editions where you had some signature playmaker pieces on every team, but like squaddies had to do their job, right? Like warriors had to show up and actually pull their weight. And I feel like there are teams that just don't have warriors, right? And there are teams that are just like, I'm gonna bury you with 25 different abilities that you've never read before. Thankfully, only like 5 of them are good and anybody ever uses, but it's just text walled to death over and over and over again. I'm not sure that's good for long-term health.
So you mentioned Blades of Cain. Their interest comes, all their warriors are the same. Their interest comes from the rules, right? I like your hot take because I semi disagree with it. I think a lot of the teams that we have that are currently getting classified are the most easy teams to memorize. We've had them for 4 years, right? So for me, yeah, like Warp Coven, but White Dwarf teams, they're special case. They all suck. Because they were all rules bloat from the beginning, right? But like the rest of season 1 are all really simple teams, and they're relatively easy to understand what they do. They're very straightforward, but we're having a lot more teams now that have a lot more complex strategies and complex interactions. Like for heaven's sakes, I was TOing an event before Wolf Scouts had any kind of like nerfs or anything else. And it was like, I'm going to counterattack and I'm going to counterattack and I'm going to use the Savage Fighters. And it's like, oh, what goes first? Because they all have the same keyword, So there are really unique things that interact with each other that are not necessarily intuitive there's no timing tables and stuff. So that's besides the point.
There's place for it, lads. What's wrong with you?
For me, I've never found like I TO a lot of large events, and I don't have every team memorized. But one thing I can do is I can look at a team, read the rules, and understand them very well, right? So I might not remember them, especially like when I had to play XV26 Battlesuits. But in the moment, I can read it and be like, nah, you can't do this, Ryan, what do you think about this take that there's too much rules and rules?
I like rules. I like rules. Rules are cool. I like reading them. I like thinking about them. I know some people don't, and I say, well, go fucking read a comic book or something like that. Then if you want to read less words.
That's fair. That's fair. I think, Marty, I don't think that your take is invalid, because I know a lot of people feel the way you feel with.
Well, that's what the hot take is, right?
Yeah. But I don't.
With Samo and Matt, though, we should get the rules in comic book form. We should just have to post graphic novels with every release.
I would like to see them in comic book form. Though that may make it harder for me to understand,
What's
now that I'm so.
They mutate the rules so much for balance. Like every balance data slate comes out, and all of a sudden, the rules that you knew for this team 4 iterations ago aren't true anymore.
Especially for like teams like Kashyyyk.
And they're not even teams you play. It might not even be teams that anybody in your group plays. And you're like, well, I gotta reread this whole thing, and for content specifically, because I might play this guy.
Hell yeah, that's what
months from now.
I feel that every time I look at a
Salvagers the cost of doing it, and yet I also recognize that the game system is supposed to be intuitive, and it's not supposed to. But like, there's always too much, right? The question isn't, is this infinitely good or infinitely bad? The question is, how much is too much, right?
It's fair.
Especially if it flexes every 3 months.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that I feel that, but I mean, the flex kind of makes it interesting so that we can continue to talk about things and continue to change the game. In fact, sometimes I think I would like faster ones just because it would make my life more interesting because I'd get to make more content. It would be worse as a TO though.
It'd be easier to keep up with if you only had to keep your eyes on like 4 or 5 specific places on every team, and they always fit on the cards, right? As
Mhm.
opposed to like, oh, well, the Chronomancer, like the Chronomancer is a great example, or like any of the big higher tech.
The Geomancer's the worst. I
Yeah.
think he takes up 3 or 4 cards.
It's 3 or 4 cards, but it's one Space Wizard, right? You just have to keep track of one Space Wizard. The Immortals don't do weird stuff. The big bugs on the Canoptic team each have a weapon profile, and that's what it does, right? The
Mhm.
thing that really screwed up that team, their medic. They had a medic bot. Okay, it interacted, and then it had like everything that medics weren't supposed to do rolled into it, and they had to keep nerfing it because medic just wasn't good enough. It had to be medic with 6 extra steps, right?
Mhm.
Everybody knows what a medic does, but not that one.
Mm.
Because it wasn't even balanced the way that it was. It just needed to be special.
Well, yeah, you don't got to argue to us about Canoptic being fucking nuts.
You know, it's fine to have standout pieces, but I think they have to be meaningful, and I think they have to be intuitive.
Okay. I mean, I could see that rules development wise. I mean, I know that sometimes I'll look at a brand new team. Like when I looked at Murder Wing, I was really mad when I first saw Murder Wing because I was like, I don't even understand what boost is. Like I don't even get it. Like this this doesn't make any sense. Like what is this rule? And it took me like 30 minutes to like figure it out. And then I was like, is this just like how fly should be? You know, you had to read the entire team to get to it. Um, Sometimes I think that the game is too technical as is right now to understand certain things at like a base level, and that can be annoying. You know,
And don't get
for
me
sure.
started on being 1.01 inches from the other side of a piece of terrain. Not even going to go there. I'm not 0.999 from my side and 1.00001 from your side. That's probably not how Kill Team's supposed to be, but I'll
That's
leave it
fair.
at that. There's plenty of more hot takes to come. So thanks for having me
Well,
on, guys. I appreciate it. I'll see you
thank
myself.
you, Marty. Thanks for
Thank
thanks
you.
for jumping in. It's the first time on Tabletop Hot Takes. I appreciate you.
Take care.
All right, we got next in the Thunderdome.
All right. Who do we have next here? I have to actually scroll up because people have have spoken. They have been saying things. Okay, it looks like we have Warrior up next. If Warrior is around, I can invite Warrior into he has a hot
You
take.
got a little hand up.
All right.
A fan in the background. I do hope it's not too loud.
Nope, it's all right. Go for it.
All right.
Warrior, it's good to have you on. The second week in a row we've had you. What is your hot take?
Okay, I've got a warm take and a hot take. Which one do you want?
Hot take, duh.
Hot
Okay,
take.
all right.
All right.
We're not here to
Um,
agree with you.
Okay, fine. So this one is one that does not benefit me, but would benefit Kill Team overall. When I
Okay.
talk to people locally, the hot take specifically is GW needs to support narrative games and more specifically narrative campaigns. They're leaving players and money on the table because when I try to get people interested in this game, it's competitive, it's crunchy, and they bounce off a little bit. And part of that, I think, is in our local area, 40K is bigger than Kill Team, and I would say our community is about 50-50 split between people who go to the monthly 3-run tournaments, people who don't, but love the Crusade. Kill Team used to have that. When I tell people Kill Team doesn't have that, they're just like, oh. So I think GW could definitely do more to support that, and that would bring in players that to be fair, I don't think those players would be interested in going to the kind of events. Maybe some of the events you host, but not the competitive ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or play super competitive, but the ability to look at their team of a couple of those games make them more their dudes. Because that's the other thing people bounce off of Kill Team a lot of, and they're like first edition where they can pick whatever models they want. And well, I don't think people are going to argue that it's not better balanced now. It has a lot less of your dudes factor. All right, I said a lot of words. Tell me when I'm wrong or right or whatever.
So I think that it would be really cool to have additional narrative campaigns for Kill Team, especially well thought out ones. We have seen narrative as a rather struggle for Kill Team for a lot of people, not for Once Upon a Time Kill Team podcast or Once Upon a Kill Team podcast, or I would say that we've found a good like mix and stuff like that, but like an official one would be really nice. It would be really cool. But I think when you start doing that, you kind of get trapped. It's very simple, actually, thought theory right here, right? We used to have tons and tons of creativity in the community around maps, how maps should be built. We used to have so many conversations. Glass Half Dead used to put out a bunch of videos on what is a good map. You had Beernid and all these other people kind of like, what is a good map? How do you do this? Like, how do you balance for Kill Team? Yada, yada, yada. That has completely disappeared as a content creation space because Games Workshop said, here's the official thing. It's very similar to how narrative was last edition. Narrative, there was rules for narrative. So like no one did any innovations, right? Community-wide innovations, right? And that now in this edition, we have more narrative community innovations than we ever have. Even though they are kind of like locked to their own regional specific areas. When you start to have things come out in an official format, a lot of the times I have found, especially with Kill Team players, because Kill Team players are very litigious. It's kind of the scene that has been fostered thus far, right? I think that when we focus on like actual stuff that Games Workshop would give us, we would be limited there and then by the community themselves by saying like, hey, this is how it's supposed to be. It's not like this. I don't want to play it that way. You know what I mean? That's why it was kind of like I was going out on a limb with the squad ops stuff, is because like I don't know how many people I've talked to where they're just like, nah, that's not how it works, you know, and they're so litigious. Orion, what do you think?
I like narrative play. I, more notoriously am a competitive player, but it's partly because I've never found a good narrative system to really catch my attention. And part of it, I think, is this, like you said, the specializing your own units and all that jazz, like from last edition. That is definitely something I miss from last edition. That being, or not last edition, but the original Kill Team, should we say, where you could really make a squad of no two teams were going to be alike.
Mm-hmm.
And I do miss that, but at the same time, I do remember being able to completely negate my opponent's what was it? What was the crisis suits? I had an opponent who had a crisis suit playing Tau, and I managed to keep it off the board for 3 turns because of just the way my list was built, and he wasn't prepared for something like that, and we just didn't play Kill Team for 3 turns. And it wasn't either of our faults. Like, we were just both playing very weird specialized lists, and mine ended up having him not play at all. So there are balancing issues when it comes to those things, which I think you did mention. Overall, I like to look at the old Kill Team with rose-tinted glasses, where it's like, oh, this is so cool. And I look at my old models, and I'm like, oh, the Blight Lord Terminators. I was the only one who was playing that. It was my team. Yeah, and then I remember, all the bad. So on one hand, narrative is great, but narrative is rarely ever balanced. The few events I have played narrative in quickly got out of hands. That was just due to random generic rules. Like, I think I played... There was somebody in my group who had built a custom campaign and put in all the work and all the time to make a thing, and I just brought Gallerpox to it because I just wanted to play narrative rules for Gallerpox. And I ended up having there was no limit. There was like an equipment bonus you could get where you could get more equipment. So I just kept taking more bugs as Gellerpox. And I think I ended up with like 12 bugs on the table, something like that. Which, ended up not being fun for anyone because they just couldn't get through the fucking swarm of bugs. So I don't know. Narrative is a tricky one. I know there's players that want to play it. I know, that it would bring more players in, but it's always at the cost of, I guess, GW's manpower if they were to release more narrative. Like the competitive testing and competitive output goes down, maybe, or it doesn't sell well, and then they never want to do narrative again because, like, they did release a narrative box, and people just bought it for the models and nothing else.
And the
back in-
competitive side. Yep.
Yeah, because or like the cards that I pulled out, like these
Mhm.
are some really cool narrative cards that nobody knows exists.
Or they can't find it anymore,
Right.
So Warrior, what do you think?
So I have I have retorts for both of you because this
Sure.
is a hot take show.
Mhm.
Dakota, on yours,
Mhm.
the local community growth. I hear what you're saying, but not everyone has the luxury of living near Dakota.
You're not
As
wrong.
awesome as that would be if
Yeah.
everyone could.
Well, they
Yeah.
could.
And for a couple people wanting to start a thing,
Uh-huh.
having some official thing to work off of, I think
Yeah.
would make it seem a lot more approachable because Kill Team really well. For someone who doesn't know Kill Team really well and just kind of wants to play with their dudes, writing a thing and balancing a thing is monolithic.
You're not wrong. Yeah, I mean, that is a very valid for sure. Sometimes I forget that not everyone lives in Los Angeles, like there are people who just live in like Timbuktu.
I'm sure it feels like
or-
everyone lives in Los Angeles some days with traffic.
Too many people. In fact, I wish more of them would play Kill Team. It's surprising how many people we have here that don't play Kill Team.
I mean, if you guys just did that in the traffic jams, maybe people would be a lot happier.
You're not wrong,
So the other two responses were, I think, the narrative conversation needs to be framed away from events. That's the other thing. The people who are playing Crusades are the people who can't commit to an all-day event or a multi-day event, but they can get in a game or two every 2 weeks. They play Crusade over a couple months. They're enjoying it. And then the other thing that I hear repeatedly that they really like, and Ryan touched on it a little bit, is last edition they had after the game, the meta progression to operatives. The bonuses don't have to be big for it to feel like they're progressing through the campaign. And that's the other thing, is because you play your games for the cycle, and then you've got a week or two to decide, okay, now what bonuses am I taking? What operatives am I putting it on? What injuries am I rolling? How do I use my currency to mitigate the injuries, or do I buff my guys? And there's that being engaged asynchronously between rounds that keeps people coming back to Crusade and caters more to people who don't have the time to commit to events. And then the last point was just from a GW time and money investment. Crusade is horrifically unsupportive. Crusade players do not care. Crusade is unbalanced. Crusade players do not care. That's
Fair.
not why they're playing.
Okay.
They go into it expecting that, after 10 games of Crusade, some units are going to be really overpowered, and that's part of the enjoyment for a lot of them, is that it's mutated away from the stale, repetitive, competitive game to something a little bit more wacky. But it's wacky not just because of some arbitrary thing that happened for event rules. It's you've played over those 10 games, and your sergeant now has a Melta pistol or whatever because he's gotten 3 veterancy ranks, and he has a reroll and an invuln save or whatever. So, anyway.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Any
your
other
hot take,
thoughts?
brother.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
any
have
other
one.
thoughts? Otherwise,
Yeah,
go for it.
I do have one. So I think that I've said this before on the channel. If you guys are new, hello. I think players, Kill Team is in an interesting position as it is right now, because I think that it is still maturing and growing as a game. And I think that 40K has gone through this cycle as well, and we're gonna start seeing like because Kill Team was kind of like all over the place, and then it kind of grew to this really narrow competitive point, right? And then now that everyone's here, we're going to start to see more branches start to split off, which is a good thing for the game, and it'll just create more players because even if everyone isn't competitive, just having more players in the space will sell more, will do more, and then hopefully more players will pick up these kind of cards packs and Descent and these other systems so that Games Workshop will continue making these things. And then other community members will also make more things that become more widely adopted too. Similar to what Play on Tabletop did with the Coliseum and stuff like that. So, yeah. Well, I appreciate you, Warrior. We're gonna pull in the next. We're gonna pull in the next chatter here. You want to say
Thanks
something
for
else?
being on.
Brother?
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, brother. No problem, man. Until next time. Now I did say that we were going to pull somebody first, but I'm going to, before we pull you on, I am going to pull somebody else on. They specifically texted me to be like, hey, put me on, and this might annoy Orion or it might make him happy and small. I'm very excited.
I feel like I know who it is. Yeah.
So we have
Hi, everybody.
Eric. Hello, Eric. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay, amazing.
To everybody in line, I'm sorry. I just came on late and I just texted Ryan an idea and I was like, I need to go to bed. And I know a lot of you guys are West Coast. So just wanted to say hi to everybody in the chat. Hi to Matt. Let me see. I don't know how to do this.
My team would do this.
How do I show my screen? There we go. Okay.
There we go. All right.
All right. So I have 2 hot takes, and they're both pretty quick. So, as a fellow TO and Ryan helping me do tournament events and being a player, and you the same,
Eric. Before we go into it, where are you calling in from?
Oh, from the condo.
That's fair. That's fair. I meant what state, but
Maryland.
Okay,
Maryland.
there we go.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
all right.
East Coaster. Okay.
East Coaster.
Plasma Spam's finest, y'all.
Sorry. Wow. Okay.
All right.
True
all right.
Plasma Spam team member. So
yeah, true. All right.
So
go ahead.
We've had our experiences with noticing competitive and non-competitive players moving too far with their instruments. And when us as TOs or players call those players out, not to upset them, but they still get upset when you want to double check, or if it's for a grand finale like you have hosted now multiple times being a tournament organizer, how do you go through that process and making that more acceptable for other tournaments and players in such a competitive niche game like Kill Team?
Can you repeat that one more time so I know the question exactly?
Sure. So how do we as players make normalizing checking movement more due to players constantly moving more than what they're actually allowed to move?
Okay, so I'm going to butt in here real quick because you're on the hot takes. So I'm going to format this for you. Your hot take is it should be more normalized to question your opponent, not necessarily because you're calling them out for cheating, but because they may have made a mistake.
Yes.
That is a good hot take.
You can start with them, Dakota.
Yeah. I think that it's really kind of the tone that you set at the beginning of the game, right? So if you've had issues with the player before, you just say, hey, I really want to keep this game pretty tight. Just communication, right? Communication's the key, right? I know some players that I play against, they are very loose with movement, and you can call them out when it is, or you can just be like, hey, I really want to play a tight game just so that you are aware and I'm aware, I really want to check movements so you can check mine and I can check yours. And then let's use a proxy model to move a model, just to make sure that we can both agree that a model gets there before we pick up models and move them. Right now, you could do that all the time, right? You could do that all the time for, let's say, like when I go to an event, I always bring a clock and I always play on a clock, period. That's how I try to normalize it. I try to teach people and do the same thing. And I tell everyone, hey, just so you know, I always play on a clock. It's not you. It's, I need to make sure that I am always playing the time, and I think it's important to be able to make a couple icebreaker jokes to kind of breach that subject. All right. So you can always come loaded with one or two dad jokes, make sure they make sure they go off well, even if they're bad joke, but I think that normalizing good communication with an opponent is always healthy. Right. But I don't think everyone in Kill Team is always good or comfortable with doing that. But we do play a very tight competitive game. So we should be able to communicate with our opponents. But I would say if you're going to do that to one person, you should do that to everyone.
Okay.
So, and that could just be your thing. That Eric guy, he really likes to play tight with his movement. It's like, all right,
I've been told that before, so.
That's fair. That's fair. Orion, what do you think?
So in a general sense, I agree. But it does come to the litigation of, you have to do it to everyone to make sure you're not looking like, oh, well, I trust this guy. I would never do it to this guy, but I know this guy. Because it's going to look like you're playing favorites when stuff like that happens. So you do have to keep it both ways.
Marty just subscribed for 11 months. Thank you very much, Marty. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so I'm more on the fence of like, I'll check something if I absolutely need to, but a lot of times I've let people move a bit too far, just because, personally, I don't want to ruin the vibes of a match. Maybe that's just a me problem, but I'm like, you can get there close enough, unless it's like something that's gonna like absolutely destroy the game. I'm usually just like, okay, yeah, you can get there, that's fine. But, I think it should, I would agree with Eric, I think that it should be more normalized that people do that. But really, I think it comes in a situation and the tone you set for the game. Like
So
if the move one,
the other thing is
one frame one, it sucks if you have to measure it.
We got another subscription from Knock Unknown. Okay, I kept wanting to call him Nunchuck Unknown, but that was not what it was. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Nacho Unknown. Oh, that's what it is. Nacho. Thanks.
I guess that Nacho really was unknown.
Yeah, this shows my Listexia coming
Nacho
through.
was unknown.
Yeah. So another thing that you can do is if you really think somebody's doing some egregious moves, is also to call a TO over more often, right? And to encourage that person to use a dead model or an extra base or something like that before the model is moved. Because I think we've all ran into them at an event here and there. Sometimes people move or they're a little sloppy with their movement. And hey, if you want to be sloppy with your movement too, they should let that go back and forth. And then if somehow it gets tight at some point in time, it's when you call a T over and be like, hey, we've been playing this whole way this whole time, and now he's changing it up. It's always good to let TOs know that kind of thing up front as well. That's pretty important. So, but you said you had a second take real quick. Is it quick?
Yeah, this one's much more fun.
Okay.
So some people have been talking about the functionality of Kill Team and how the teams actually work. A lot of them are focused on killing. And I think because it's such a niche game, it's so tight, you're so focused on just doing the mission and killing. What if they actually created other teams like a Grot team where their focus is to create a Killacan, which is a model that isn't part of your kill team at first, but they still play the regular function of the game. And then if you do enough to get the Killacan on the board, like you lose some of the Grots, but then the Killacan comes in. What if they focused more on specific?
We lost Eric.
Well, I think what he's saying is, Kill Team should have alternate win conditions, and a lot of games do. If they build that Killacan, it's game over, right? Not too many models.
I mean, who knows? It could be a terrible Killacan.
Well, sure, but I feel like alternate win conditions could definitely be something that could be invested in Kill Team. because a lot of game systems have them.
Mhm.
They're not always fun for the other player. Is the one thing I would say, where it's just like, yeah, you're watching your opponent just fucking Fortnite it up on the other side where you're trying to shoot them. So that would be my counter argument to something like that, where if there is an alternate win condition, like Cult, for example, kind of does that, where they stay back as far as they can to build torments to win the game.
Mhm.
It wasn't such the case last edition, but this edition, Cults are kind of boring if you just let them get to turn 3 with all their torments and then play. But yeah, that's kind of how I view it. Is alternate win conditions are cool, but they have to still be fun for your opponent.
Correct. That's just
So-
me being wanting an orc person,
So I don't.
If your hot takes more orcs and kill team, hell yeah, brother. Like,
Mhm.
So I think that's also it's an interesting team developmental idea, right? Where we could see, we could see a bunch of chaos cultists sacrificing themselves to become like a greater possessed demon or something like that for a kill team, or any of those kinds of kind of like ideals. I would love to see something less focused on killing and a little bit more narrative based. I think that they kind of did that with Insidiants, but Insidiants are also just like ridiculous, So, I think it is what it is. I think that we could definitely see more creative stuff out of Games Workshop, and I hope that does happen, because I would like to see a Kill a Can on the battlefield. I think that would be sick.
Yes.
I do like it. I do like it. All right, Eric, we're gonna say bye to you, and we're gonna pull on the next hot take. Okay.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Love you. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you, brother. I'll talk to you later. Sleep well.
All right,
Okay.
bye-bye.
All right. Now I have to look for, just make sure we see if we have any other hot takes. We do have Sean here. Yeah. So we're going to see if Sean is in here. He is. All right. We're going to invite to speak. All right. Hello, Sean. Where are you calling in from?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
sure
you.
can.
Let's see if our handy dandy. Well, I don't know how to turn it on. I have a webcam.
That's fair.
If I knew,
visualize the most handsome man in Kill Team.
Absolutely, thank you.
That's Alberto Cortez. I'm sorry, Sean. You do not get that title. I apologize.
That's actually true.
Cortez.
It's actually true.
No, that was that wasn't on a global situation. That was just for one specific event.
It's
like Destin painting.
Thank you, Orion. I will also say, the Spanish community loves me. Okay, I'm the lugger and I provide. Those were the quotes from Worlds.
Okay.
Apparently, if you show up with a bag full of liquor, 2 half racks of soda, and an entire bucket of ice with solo cups, you become friends with everybody pretty quickly. So they love me over there. They can't wait for me to come to Barcelona. But I have 2 very distinct hot takes. One, I think, addresses a lot of what's been talked about tonight about the amazing work that you've done, the idea of more narrative play, which, to quickly address that, I disagree with. Narrative and Kill Team are like oil and water. You're trying to introduce mechanics to a game that does not have those mechanics. I'm not a big fan of it. All you're doing is adding rules that other Kill Teams have to your Kill Team. That's your narrative experience. Cool. If you want a narrative experience with Kill Team, Necromunda's right over there. It's basically the same game.
I mean,
I'm not saying it's a good game, but it's skirmish. It's skirmish team battle narrative. It's right there, alternating activations and everything. Like, they did it better.
They weren't asking for a good game. They were asking for a fun game.
Exactly. And it's still fun. And it's at least faster because you're rolling less dice and they usually fail. So go play Kill Team or go play Necromunda if you want a narrative experience. I'm sorry. That's just how I feel. And I'm somebody who plays both games.
That's your hot take? I thought it was
No, of course not.
Okay.
If you want a more fun,
if
you want a more fun alternate to competitive setting in Kill Team, I think you should just play the Squad Ops. Honestly, that's your relaxing, having fun playing Kill Team again experience. Go play that shit because that's amazing.
I appreciate that.
Like, we've already played a couple games here locally. They're highly successful. Everybody loves them. Now we have maps to go along with it. Like, it's going to be great. But no, my hot take is it's a very spicy one, especially for us nerds who love to spend our money on GW plastic.
Mhm.
I think, because we've got maybe a year to 18 months until the end of the edition,
Okay.
that they shouldn't release any more boxes.
That is
Until
a
then.
hot take. That is a
They should
crazy
just
hot take.
focus on balancing, like every 3 months. They should make the game good. They should give people time to work on their backlog and play the teams and develop the meta and stop just introducing these power spike teams that everybody gets burnt out about. Like maybe the game might get a little stale, introduce some new map packs, whatever you have to do, but like let the game develop without throwing in new things all the time. We went a little too hard too fast. We've experienced this in other games before where they overload you with content too fast and people don't get to properly experience it. And then you hit this content drought because they didn't plan their release schedule. And I feel like we're hitting that with Kill Team where it's like, we don't know if any new boxes are coming. Well, people who know, but it's not great. The last year of Kill Team wasn't awesome unless you're a highly competitive player with a lot of extra money.
So hopefully we see something from Adepticon's previews, but I haven't looked to see if there's any stuff on Adepticon, if we're getting any kind of a Kill Team update, you know. It would be nice. I remember one of the most horrible times in all of Kill Team was waiting for Blades of Cain and Nemesis Claw to release. I think it was from Worlds 2023, and we had this like 8-month gap where nothing happened. And I can, as a content creator, I despise your hot take because we would run out of stuff to talk about, like, unless if we got balanced data slates every 2 weeks, which I think is not doable in this version of the game. I think is pretty rough, you know. I would despise that. What about you, Orion?
From a content creation standpoint, it's not great. I admit.
I think even from a competitive standpoint, but go ahead.
Okay.
Personally, a problem I have with Kill Team is there's not exactly a ton to do in the off times where nothing new is being released, because there's not a lot of list building you can do. There's not a lot of like plug in this, take out this, see how this works, see how that works. For a lot of people who play certain teams that are heavily locked into their single play style, you know, not having anything really new for a long time, I think probably isn't great. Like, I understand what you're saying, like letting the meta develop, see how things shake out, see what comes new with people trying out different things. But I feel like Kill Team currently, especially from like branching off from its previous iterations, is way more streamlined to this team does this, which is, and then it doesn't do this, and you can't do anything else, which is part of the problem with the new teams that are really good. It's because a lot of the teams that they're really good against have no way of adapting and changing to fight that. So if you're in that long slog of like nothing really changing and no new teams coming out to maybe take on better teams or just, you know, change play style, then people who play those teams are all right, well, cool, I guess I'll just wait, you know, 8 months until something happens, I guess, because my guardsmen aren't getting any better and no one else is getting worse and nothing new is happening.
Now, I agree, but that's because you and I play at a different level than most people on the planet. We just had this happen in chat. We had it happen in the hot takes waiting room. People are talking about there's too much rules bloat for the game. People are having a hard time adapting. For us, the learning curve of the game is literally, okay, there's a data slate or a new team, you assess its power level, you assess the changes, you look at how the meta shifted slightly of like,
and you move on.
What's the new hotness for the top 4, what's the new counter, and you move on. Most players don't know all of the rules because it's too hard to learn all of the rules. But if you stopped overloading them with teams, especially, I've been a game designer, this is what happens. You have to develop new teams that are interesting, or else they're just a boring team. So they're introducing more mechanics. That's really hard for people to learn if they're still haven't learned what Blades of Cain do, and they released 2 years ago. You know, that's all I'm talking about is give people time to learn these teams, play other stuff, develop their play styles. People like you and I, it's like, yeah, it's going to be a little stale for us because we know how to play almost all of the teams at like an 80th percentile, especially the teams that actually matter.
So I have a hot take from yours, right?
Sure.
I don't think so. There's this competitive norm that I see in Discords and Reddits and all this kind of stuff of your exact take of there's too much rules bloat. There's too much this, there's too much that, and the game is too
Now,
hard.
mind
to
you, I
learn.
don't agree with that.
Yeah. So that's okay. It's a good hot take. Brings up an interesting discussion. Why do we have to be the best at the game in order to enjoy it? Right. So there's a lot of people at the mid tables that are struggling with a lot of the rules build and stuff like that. New players are just going to come into the game and just enjoy it. Sure, they might be dissuaded from some events because there might be a lot of rules and stuff like that. But in the end, you don't have to know everything going into a game. There's a reason why we have free rules. If you don't know how Orekas work, and it's your first time running into them, it's a good time to, sit down on your phone for the next, 5 minutes, learn about the team, 10 minutes, be like, oh, okay, this is what they do,
Yep.
I think learning adaptability and not knowing everything is just kind of the place that Warhammer has been for years. When I used to play competitive Warhammer 40K, I used to know every single rule and completely memorize every single codex. And that's why I was good. That's kind of impossible in Kill Team and in current 40K. And there was some kind of shift around 7th and 8th edition where the rules just kind of exploded for 40K. And then Kill Team, while you used to be able to know, we have this thing where we have a lot of teams, but you don't have to know them all to play the game. You know what I mean? You don't. And that's just a general misunderstanding of competitive. To be competitive, you don't have to know everything. You can just be good at the core basic principles of the strategy of the game to play the game and have fun.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that I said this in the hot takes waiting room. I was like, I'm fine with rules bloat. I think it's fine. If it truly doesn't matter unless you're a top 1% player. Like people like Orion and I, yes, we know every team, and even you, Dakota, you know a lot of teams.
I do.
But you know the teams that matter.
The
teams you have to play against, you know those.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
you don't know every team where somebody brings Battleclade and you're like, ah, shit, what do they do again?
Unfortunately, I know them
that
more
one
than I
because they
would like
suck,
to.
and I like teams that suck. But
true, you do like teams that suck. You're playing Goremongers now.
So the chat is calling me out, which is good. They say there's a lot of gotchas in the game, right? And that's part of the game, and that's not
part of the love of the game.
Yeah, but I would agree that not knowing how Blades of Cain work to go into them, and then you run into Blades of Cain and you learn how they play, and it's all about a gotcha mechanic playing on a razor's edge. It does feel bad. There are specific game teams out there that are very much like that, right? You have Corsairs. A lot of the elf teams are very much, I didn't know that Void Dancers could fly over here, stab this guy, and shoot this guy with a fusion pistol. What just happened? Obviously, some of those things are big feels bads. But I think that's a core problem with the rule set over and teams and how they're designed over anything else. And it is a problem, but
Interrupt though, but I think you're framing it the wrong way. It's not a problem with the rule set. It's a problem in how you're framing the question. Because you don't need to know every rule for every team that exists. You need to know what questions to ask.
True.
If you know, hey, what's the move distance on this operative? Do you have any tricks to get around climbing? Can you ignore this model's base? If we fight right now, do you have any tricks? That's a famous Squad Games gotcha question. Spicy. But asking the right questions can bridge the gap of not knowing what every team does. And that's truly important. If you don't know a matchup, just ask the question. because
Yeah,
I don't
but
know if
we
people listening know this. That's part of the rules of the game that your opponent has to tell you.
So there's another thing that's interesting with the rules, right? There's this other famous YouTuber from 40K. I forget his name off the top of my head. It starts with a V.
Not that
Um,
famous.
no, I just can't remember his name off the top of my head at the moment. Um, my son broke his arm today, so like
Oh
or
no, I'm
yesterday.
sorry.
So dealing, sometimes some brain fog happens. Don't have
Yeah.
as much caffeine in my body at this point in time of the night. Um, so he came out with a sportsmanship video many years ago that has always rung true with me. Um, and gosh, I'll share it in the Discord again. But you shouldn't want to win the game based off of, you shouldn't want to win any game based off of rules that your opponents don't know. You should be
Absolutely.
helping them play the game to their best ability, right? And sometimes there are some mechanics that are like, hey, I've told you that this guy could charge within 3 inches if you get within close, and you can't tell somebody that you could do that again because you've told them before. It's part of the way the team works, and if you don't do that, then they're just never gonna. If you just keep reminding somebody, the game, the core thing is like better communication will always be better, and us as a community, we are growing and we are learning, and the longer that you stay with these kinds of games, the better communicator and game player you will be
Yep.
to your opponents,
Yep.
right?
I want
And-
to beat you at your best. I'm not trying to trick you to win. I don't need to do that to win.
Correct. Yeah.
And I'll
Mhm.
remind you of all my tricks as much as I can. But if you trigger one of them, that's on you because I've already reminded you like 2 or 3 times at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Yeah,
going to
so-
bounce into this a little bit as my own
Yep.
side hot take.
Yeah.
Like it.
So I agree with most of this to a point. But everyone's always like, oh man, well that guy gotcha'd me. Like if you didn't ask the question, and again, I'm very generous with my information to a fault. But I will play into gotchas like it's nobody's business. Because it's a gotcha. You got me. Great. Now I'm gonna learn that, and then it won't happen to me again. But if you tell me, oh, be careful, this guy will do this, I'm like, okay, yeah, and I might forget. And then, later we go into the turn and I do a move where I fall into it right. And it's like, well, I told you. And, people get upset. Like, oh, well, I wouldn't have done that. Right. You already told me, so I knew about it. It's okay to get got.
Yeah.
Like, no one's going to make fun of you and point at you and laugh. Like, part of this game is like, there's only so much information you can pay attention to. And some teams will just they have the rule because they can use it. If you're intentionally like trying to play around it all game, clearly like the rule might as well just not exist.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I literally was just describing to somebody in the Patreon chat today that I had a game against Nick Collins. Some people know him as Crossfire Games. Great player. Played him twice at Worlds. Really nice guy. We had a CPTS game. He's playing Rekkas, my Wolf Scouts. And the Rekkas have that ability that when they're melee fighting you and they resolve a hit, they can move you 1 inch as long as they move 1 inch with you. And I knew that I'm setting up a gotcha here. But again, this is Nick Collins. He's an amazing player. He's basically the same rank as me. We played each other twice at Worlds, so we were doing quite well. I'm not going to warn him. He should know because he didn't ask either. So he's knocking me around.
But here's the thing. You guys are talking at like the more competitive levels, right? The majority of...
I think that you should be friendly about it. You're not trying to win based off of this.
So if you're playing... If you're playing at the World
with
Championships of Warhammer, you're playing at LVO, you're playing at these big competitive events, sure. But I think the majority of games happen at game stores. The majority of games happen at people's homes, right? These are the places that we have to learn these core things, right? And play this general way rather than mimicking the higher competitive end, because you guys are referencing the higher competitive end, which is what you're saying is completely true and valid, right? Like at that kind of level, you don't need to remind people, right? But at like the majority core level of play, I'm going to tell Giacomo like, hey dude, like if you put your model there, I can Jaws of the World Wolf and kill all 3 of your stealth suits. Can we not end this battle report that way, please? Can you flip to conceal? You know what I mean? Like, or something else,
I think the point I was trying to make is you never want to create a scenario where, and it's crude to say it like this, but this is just how I am. I'm a little blunt. You never want to create a scenario where your opponent thinks that you're a dick or that you're trying to trick them. There's rules. The whole game is caveats on here's the core rules. Every team breaks them. Better understand that. That's fine. But you never want to create a scenario where the person that you're playing with doesn't enjoy the rest of the game that they're playing with you. And that's my personal opinion. Unless you're playing at a competitive level, then it's like, I don't care. We're doing, you know what you signed up for. But if you're playing casually, locally, the whole point is to spend time with your friends or make a new friend. If you're not doing that, you're doing yourself a disservice, because there will become a time where people don't want to play with you. And I've seen it. Where the nicest people in the world, nobody wants to play a pickup game with them, and then they just stop showing up. And I hate that, but I can't force somebody to not be a dick.
Oh, Ryan, I apologize. I cut you off in the middle of your thing.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I mean, for me, like, I know you're talking about the high competitive level, where it's like, I expect people to know what they're doing. If they signed up to a big tournament where there's a lot of teams involved, I expect them to know those things. And again, that's up to you to ask the questions. If there's something clearly like that they've just fundamentally misunderstood, then I'll hop in like, hey, I don't think you understood what I said. I can do this still. I see you're trying to play around it. I can do, like, it's nice to help remind your opponent, but you don't have to hold their hand through everything. I think even I'm guilty of still doing it sometimes. But in very casual games, honestly, I think it's more okay to just not know anything and just fuck around and find out.
Well, it depends on who you're playing against, and that takes that personal insight of like the player you're playing, the community you're in. Because like I've got people who don't like it and they get upset, and I've got people who are just like, "Oh, I'll learn today."
Yeah, so I've played a lot of people where they're like, "You don't gotta tell me anything. Just we're gonna see what happens, and I'll learn it better this way." It depends on how you learn, of course. I guess my hot take is the people who aren't normally like that should be more open to learning by trial by fire. Now,
be okay with losing.
Yeah, be okay with losing, but also what I do in a lot of games is if like I've had this happen a couple times where somebody makes a bad play, I move in and let's say I kill like 4 dudes, right? I'm like, okay, cool. So clearly the game's over now. So what we're gonna do, put all those 4 guys back. I won, cool. Woo, put 1 on the tally. I'm gonna move my guy back, and we're gonna reset with you knowing this knowledge, and then let's continue the game. So A, they learn what the hell just happened. B, I get a little satisfaction of, yeah, I did the thing. And then C, we continue a game now that you know that this thing happened. That's like a funner way for me to enjoy, like, a gotcha, like, hey, I'm going to punish you for it. We'll put imaginary check mark that I won the match, or this match, and then let's keep going. Let's reset.
That's literally how I coach people, is exactly what you described. It's like, we're going to play through the scenarios so that way it sticks in your head, and then we're going to unwind it.
Yeah, because if you never trigger it, you'll never really learn it, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. I think that's crucial. I think that we, as players, have this disconnect between competitive play at the high end and table play, like kitchen table play, and how to bridge that gap but I think that the core component should just be the game is supposed to be fun, and it's not always on one player to control that. The thing that I always remind my players is, when you sit down to a game of Kill Team, one person's going to lose guaranteed, and if you tie, both of you lose.
Yeah, it's
you tie, both of you win. That's how I say it.
No. You both lose. You both lose because there's no winner anymore.
No, you both win because you're undefeated.
Yeah, you're undefeated.
Yeah,
but then you get 1 tournament point and you get beat by Jeshua.
Dude, I fucking love ties. Everyone's happy when they walk away from a tie.
Yep, everyone's happy.
I love ties as well, but it's a good joke to like. It's just to remind people that it's like the game shouldn't be this serious. It's a fucking dice game with models. Like, relax a little.
So this goes back to one of our earlier ones from John saying, like, everyone's getting too good. The table games are becoming more competitive, right? You're seeing a lot less of some of the mid-tier tables because this is how this edition, in my opinion, this is my hot take, this is how this edition was written. We're going to move on. I'll keep you guys for this one, but
Sure.
I think we're going to pull one from Nacho Unknown, and then we'll probably
Is that how you pronounce it finally?
Yes, I figured it out.
Okay.
but somebody had to like space it out. I couldn't figure it out.
Oh yeah, I
I
just
still thought it was
literally read it, and it.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so
yeah,
you
yeah.
can't read, Dakota.
No, I can't. I don't-
Colorblind.
I
people,
love,
people,
I love you
people
though.
wonder-
I love you, but like,
I wonder how people like let me TO for them.
Nachun, no.
Obviously, I can't read. So it goes back to John's original hot take, where the game is getting better and you're seeing a lot less of these chill games. In my opinion, it's because this is how the edition has been written. It is a very tight core game that is supposed to be extremely competitive, and there's no real rules other than joint ops to kind of mitigate some of those things, right? So we're seeing, as people are maturing, there's not, when I go to the World Championships of Warhammer and I see people play, a lot of times it's who brought the best team and who can run it the best. There's such very little skill differential between all of the players there. And every year it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller until there's an addition change, right? Nacho Unknown brought up that he was teaching somebody how to play Kill Team, and their eyes would glaze over. This goes back to one of our other hot takes with rules bloat. Their eyes would gloss over because there's so many different keywords that they have to reference different areas of the rule book and different things here and there. And I've said this for a long time. I think Kill Team would benefit from universal keyword chart, just like universal equipment, but also like Nacho, for instance. I do believe that some of this happens because we only have 10 pages of core rules, right? And then there's like 2 pages of approved ops rules, right? So a lot of these things that are squirrely in the game are because that they're poorly defined. And as the scene is growing more competitive, we're trying to find definitions within definitions that don't really exist. So
No, I agree.
So we see trying to teach people like, oh, this has the light keyword, this has this has this. The game is really complex in a lot of rules. I do agree with that, even though it's pitched as a very not complex game. I think it's only as complex as you want it to be.
I mean, I've had to teach people how to like strip out rules. I make sure when I'm teaching new players that, again, I don't know if you guys know this, a lot of us who play Kill Team are on the spectrum. So I have to keep some of our more experienced players away from the table when I'm teaching somebody new, because they'll just jump in and start suggesting things and throwing in rules. And I'm like, shut up, go away. You're going to scare them. It's like a new puppy that you're trying to get in the car. Like, get away. Stop it. You strip out the rules, you strip out tac ops, you strip out strap play, you just dumb down the game because it's so layered and it's so complex. And like, I'm putting this in the hot takes chat. This is the learning curve for Kill Team, in my opinion, this graph that I posted. And for those of you watching on Twitch, it's literally just a graph that slowly goes up and it turns into a cliff that people are hanging off of, and there's crucifixes at the top and there's dead bodies, because as you get better at the game, it's just like, oh god, it's so hard. Oh no, there's so many rules. Like, wait, that's how cover works? Wait, that's how door fights work? Like, it's just, and then you get into like the intricacies of how a word is actually played versus how it's written or how you read it. Like, reference Dakota's climbing video to see how complex this game is. And that's okay.
I'm frustrated that I had to make that
teaching
video.
new players.
Yeah. Ryan, do you have any thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, new players, you really have to ease them in a lot of cases. There's some players who are fully looking for that, and that's fine. But yeah, having a lot of keywords, having all this stuff, even if you're just playing the base game, if they are struggling with just the keywords page, maybe it's not the game for them, because you can dumb it down a lot, but generic keywords are still part of it. So part of it is if they just don't even want to look at all the keywords and stuff like that, maybe they need another game. Maybe try Go Fish. That's pretty nice. Beyond that,
I love that Orion's with me on that, where it's like, hey, maybe just a suggestion, throwing it out there, not trying to be a dick. You could just get better at things. It's not on me to.
No,
play
I'm not
top.
asking them to get better. I'm asking them to
Jesus.
stay where they are.
You know, we exist as the Nurgle champions that got our respective teams nerfed into the dirt. So maybe get on our level.
No, none of that.
I
Just,
think-
you know,
Hey, you got to
Stay
keep
smooth.
Contagion. I got it murdered.
I think that there is a happy medium that hopefully Games Workshop can learn from for whenever the next edition, like comes out,
I
right?
agree.
Hopefully they can learn a lot of stuff,
I'd love to see more teams move into that space where like half the team is specialists, half are warriors.
I would just want rosters back. I would rather have them re-release teams with like 6 more dudes and then just bring rosters, and actually be able to build things, because that just creates more interest in the game, right? And I would like to see them stop giving us maps, because it also creates, I'd be selfish as a content creator, because I think that we have seen that Games Workshop maps have struggled with certain map variations, right? And they are still played at events no matter what, similar to like the old the Galadark maps. I don't think Games Workshop's ever made a good Galadark map. Maybe that's a hot take.
No, that's literally the coldest take. The only good Galadark maps come from SquadGames.net.
I don't know. There's other people that have made some good ones.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them.
So I would agree, though. GW maps, I wish they were played, or wish they didn't exist. And part of that is because, like, I loved going to different communities and just playing
Different
on
metas,
their fuck-ass maps, whether they were good or
Mhm.
bad. It was fun to go to different regions and see how they were playing the game differently. Whether it was good or bad, it was fun to kind of step into their dojo and just kind of start fucking around, rather than everyone's playing the exact same maps.
No, I agree. I think that the map packs took a lot of that stress away from players to be like, I can't make a good map. Oh no, what am I doing? And they want it. But again, we're looking at this from a competitive side. Like rosters being removed sells more models. Let's be honest. So they're not coming back. Like as much as I would love to see like a roster where it's like a legal kill team and then like maybe you can bring 3 more operatives on your roster, that's not going to happen, Dakota. You want it, I want it. It's not happening. But I would love to see map packs from like, what if Australia designed a map pack, but then like our scene playtested it? So you only
Not a fan.
so that it's
Nope,
they
I
see
don't
it
care.
in Australia,
I'm
but they
not-
didn't get to
I got
playtest it,
enough-
so they didn't get all the work on it.
I got enough time just for me and my family and my life. and
We're not talking
testing,
about you.
okay? That's it.
You go.
I'm
you
not
go
going
do
to
your
go
thing.
out play testing other people's map packs and yada yada. It's not going to happen.
You don't play unless it's on stream, dude.
Yeah.
Oh wait, you did that doubles tournament.
Yeah, so it's
You
Ultimate
won.
Terra. Ultimate Terra is saying that we are talking like someone who has never been never TO'd and been told the map you made for table 4 was ass.
Yep.
Or
Mhm.
map packs aren't for players, it's for us TOs. I agree, it is for the TOs.
Absolutely.
And it's an easy way to blame
You get to put
somebody
the blame on
else,
somebody else. Yes, exactly.
Which
you go,
is-
I
which
didn't do it. It was GW.
which is great. But us as TOs, I think that we learn more from our failures. So if map 4 sucks ass, then we can go and fix it. We can take that criticism and go and fix something. And sure, that person might be like, oh, you lost me the event or whatever. And you can be like, yeah, but I'm listening to you. It's not like I'm ignoring you. Of course, that person just might be fully incorrect. There is a time at LVO where one of our maps was out and the guy was like, I didn't have any safe place to deploy on this side. And I was like, well, you could have taken a heavy barricade. And he's
Yep.
like, oh,
Yeah, no, I'm of the opinion that like,
so
did you not grind through the end of first edition, second edition, where people just made up
But-
maps, just
but
fucking
there's a-
Warcry terrain everywhere? Like bad maps exist. Learn.
but there's also a stance where like not all these people have the opportunity to put and devote as much time into the game as somebody like myself who regularly makes map packs or does that kind of stuff. So I completely understand that we probably still should have Games Workshop map packs. I just wish the community took them less as gospel, because I think like creativity's dead in Kill Team, and it's really sucks to see, because
Yep.
like I go to other people's game stores and sure they play my maps or they play like Games Workshop maps or something like that, or their own like the Necked maps or something, but there's not really much creativity in the scene outside of these things, like what like it's very unfortunate. I would like to
Yeah,
see more. We have Critmas, but that's not widely known how it works, Orion. You don't have a website and you didn't publish anything,
Well, yeah,
You
because I
didn't
don't want other people doing
publish
it. I
your-
want them to come to my event. I'm cooking the cookies, not them.
You are
I mean,
cooking
fair.
the cookies.
I'm doing cookies for my event as well. But yeah, no, I agree. And even those custom map packs, all they're doing is taking something that was unbalanced and making it a little bit more symmetrical, asymmetrical. Like, okay, the map's more balanced now. Does that make the game more fun, or is it just like now you're just bitching less because you have ways to attack the center objective?
Mm-hmm.
Like, inherently, maps should be a little weird, and you should go into them blind. That's the whole narrative of the game. You're a strike team. Why do you have a downloaded version of this map where you ran it on the training sim like 80 times? Like, that's
Well,
weird.
because I play security archetypes and I can't hold the ground if I don't know what I'm holding.
I need to know where I'm planting my banner.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I get it. Yeah, no, I think that the game needs a little bit more chaos in it. I'm not a big fan of it being through like card draws or dice or things like that. But it's like bad maps exist. Sometimes, what if there's a like map 4 sucks? What if you never get map 4 in a tournament? Are you gonna still complain about map 4?
Yes.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I've met that
So-
player.
I'll look
So-
over at somebody having fun on the other table, and I'm gonna be like, they're having fun, and I don't like it. Judge,
You lean over and
get
go,
over
"Hey,
here."
did you know this map doesn't have a way to go 5 inches from this terrain to this terrain? It's pretty shit."
You're like, I bet you guys secretly hate this map.
Yeah. Here, fill out this comment card. I brought a pad of them that I got made at Kinko's, and we'll give it to the TO afterwards.
If we get
So
enough
we're-
signatures on this petition, we'll send it to GW.
Oh, God. Yeah, GW will for sure listen to us, I swear. I email them all the time, and I've definitely gotten no responses.
Okay. Bouncing back to a hot take though,
Mhm.
Warriors should be great again. I think the happy medium for roster building, but not having the crazy rosters that we used to have, is just let Warriors be a little more diverse and useful, so people can take Warriors or their specialists.
Yes.
Mhm.
Something I've been having so much fun with Goremongers with is the regular
Sisters.
aspirant is so
Oh, God,
fun.
aspirants are so good. And sisters,
They're so
too.
good.
Yeah, the
But
new
sometimes
sisters
you
team
take two.
Warriors are awesome.
Sometimes you could take 6.
Yeah, no, I've played
and there's no
Warmonger
wrong
games
answer.
where I'm like, I don't need that impaler. Basically, the only specialist I'm bringing is like the chainsword and the pistols and the leader because I have to. Everybody else is an aspirant. We're ping ponging.
Yeah, and sometimes I'm like, I want the whole squad. I don't fuck off aspirants. I don't need y'all.
Yeah, yeah. It's
It would
great.
So
be
it's just like,
cool-
I wish
it-
every team could do that.
I would agree. I would agree.
Give
So, Sean-
Warriors a cool ass special ability. I do have one more hot take though before you go because it
But-
is important. It's
We're
important.
al-
It's part of the narrative that we've created for 3 hot takes now.
I have to pull the next one. I have to. We only have
Yeah,
2
okay.
hours.
Okay. I'm just saying it's a really good one. You're gonna miss out.
You gotta hold it for the next one.
Save it for the next one, Sean. Save it
No,
for
I
the next
won't.
one.
We've ruined the streak now. It's done. It's dead.
That's fair. All right, brother. Well, we're gonna catch you for the next one. And
If he dies, he dies.
if you,
Mhm. It
Sean,
was
I
really
appreciate
funny
you.
too, so I'm really sad that nobody gets to experience this. I'll message Marty about it later, or
Alright.
Sheldon.
Or Sheldon. Sheldon can come on and murder me with it later.
He's gonna start his
no,
own
it-
hot take show. I'm
It's
like,
really sad. It's really sad. It involves phone calls, Patreon subscriptions. It was an ad
All right, go
read.
for it. Go for it.
Okay. So last time on Hot Takes, we had the dog phone call Patreon tier. We've
Mhm.
unlocked a new Patreon tier. It is a
Okay.
one-time subscription. You have to pay for the whole year on Patreon all at once, as I have done. It is the 3 a.m. drive back from Vegas
Oh,
tier.
this guy. That's fair.
You will want to die afterwards because it will be 3:40 in the morning. But you got Dakota home safe. It's a whole tier. It comes with a membership badge.
Is it
DM
just
me
kidnap
directly.
Dakota?
No, he kidnapped me.
Yeah, I did. I called Sean on the way back, and he was graceful enough to answer the phone call and keep me awake the entire time.
No,
had to
I was
call a
just playing
West
video
Coaster.
games, so it didn't really matter. But
Mhm.
holy shit, it was 3 o'clock in the morning when we got off the phone. You were like, I have a 4.5 hour drive. I'll just talk to you for some of it. I was like, sure. And then I heard you pull into your driveway, and I was like, oh God, tomorrow's going to suck so bad.
It's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So that was the hot take is new Patreon tier unlocked. Well,
I like it. I like
DM
it.
me to get the details.
All right,
Yeah,
brother.
go on,
Appreciate-
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Good night, brother. Appreciate you. All right. I'm going to pull on Ultimantera.
Hello
Hello. Where are you calling in from?
from Tucson, Arizona.
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay.
Where that's
Awesome. Awesome. So what is your hot take? I saw you had one, and I didn't read it. So let's go for it.
Yeah, so there's been a lot of discussion in the hot take stage chat and in Twitch about
You're not wrong.
narrative
It's been
play.
too crazy. Yeah.
About
uh-huh.
narrative play specifically and what that means. And the first thing I want to do when I introduce this hot take is first do a little shout out to Mini Wargaming. They had a really great video where they talked about this.
Okay.
And what they said, what they had a discussion about and came to was that and what I agreed with is that narrative play or narrative, you can kind of define what it isn't. But what it is can vary between people, groups, and communities. And the main kind of meat of what narrative play is has to do with intent.
Okay.
And there have been some people who have said that Kill Team is incompatible with narrative, that Kill Team isn't a narrative game, that you should be playing a different game. I don't necessarily agree with that. What I would say is that there are systems that lend themselves to competitive a little bit more and systems that lend themselves to casual a little bit more or randomness a little bit more. And sometimes people associate a casual feel or randomness with narrative. But that's not really what narrative is. That's not really what narrative play is. People have also mentioned Warhammer 40K's system, Crusade, and here's the problem with these kind of like established narrative systems. People can say that they are playing a narrative game and still approach it with a competitive mindset.
Mm-hmm.
People will say narrative isn't balanced. It's not supposed to be balanced. The balance, the quote unquote balance, it's not really even balanced, but where you get the fun of narrative comes from two people coming together with intent, and they discuss what the intent of that narrative is. It comes from even before you even bring your models to the same location together. You're having that conversation before you even meet in the same physical location. Why are these models here? Why is this character here? Why are we fighting in this location? Why is it important? What are we doing here?
Mm-hmm.
Why are the Blood Angels and the Tyranids fighting over this planet? You have to be able to answer those questions first. You know, narrative play, a lot of people say that they want it. A lot of people say that they are looking for narrative play. But I would wager that a lot of people don't actually understand what that means, have probably never done it, and probably can't execute on it. So there's my hot take is that narrative play, when we talk about narrative play, it's all about intent first.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree with that. Ryan, do you want to take first?
I mean, I don't necessarily disagree. I would have a counterpunch question, maybe. What if you're in a league where clearly those intents differ greatly? Because there's no wrong way to play, per se, if you're joining a league that has a set of rules to play with.
Mhm.
But obviously, a bunch of people have a different ways how they define narrative. You have a way to define narrative, but clearly people have different ways. So if there's a bunch of people in a league trying to make all of their different ways work, clearly intent won't line up. What do
Yeah.
you do with that?
Absolutely. It absolutely won't line up. And unfortunately, when you have a situation like that where you have, let's say, like maybe 6 or more people in a league, or just trying to get together and figure out what they want to do and they're like, hey, we want to play some narrative play. Unfortunately, it falls to the responsibility of a games master or an admin of some kind. Someone has to do the groundwork. You have to have a Dakota, basically. You have to have somebody that brings everybody together and gets people to maybe kind of sort of agree on something, and not everyone's going to be happy. And ultimately what ends up happening is that everybody plays match play. Everybody ends up playing standard match play.
So that's where I was kind of rounding
Yeah.
my point too, where it's like, because in match play, everyone can agree what's happening there. We're just
Yep.
trying to win. We're playing by the rules, which I think
Exactly.
is where narrative really struggles. And that's why it lacks support, is because there's so many different ways to interpret it. Because
Absolutely.
it's creative. It's the most creative outlet we have in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So innately, I don't think it can have a definition, but I do like your definition.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it as well. Now I have spent a lot of time developing narrative. Now I've DM'd D&D for a very long time, right? And I look at it very similarly, but much differently at the same time. And I think everyone's version of narrative is different, you know. Where we've kind of found more success is, um, kind of being like, hey, this is the narrative. You guys are going to come here, you're going to play this, and this is kind of like the thought process. We get people to dress up and do that kind of stuff. Um, but I think that everyone's version of narrative is different. Like, for instance, I don't know of any. I think me and Alex Squires work very well together, and we both have the same version of narrative, right? Where it's like a competitive based narrative, because that's kind of the most compatible with Kill Team, right? Where it's a competitive game, so we have the competitive rules set, but then add in narrative elements and our narrative like fluff to things while you're playing, like you said, in a predetermined narrative. But like, there's like, I think I was talking to George from Vox Scream, right? And he was like, oh, this is what we're doing for our narrative, and I read his rules and I was like, oh, that's cool and all, but I wouldn't play it. It's not my cup of tea, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that that's like important when you put out a narrative, because also you're putting yourself out there, you're putting something that you created, and that's like sometimes harder for some people to do.
Yeah.
And also it creates usually to create something that's like good, creates such a deep knowledge of the game that gets so little recognition. I think that when people create more narrative things, I really hope that people out there test George's thing and play other people's stuff. Like Once Upon a Kill Team podcast just came out with a whole new, like, there's like 3 people on a game board and each person gets 1 Space Marine. It's like Space Marine 2, but with Kill Team rules. If your dude dies, like, he only has so long to get back up before another guy comes on and you take over a different Space Marine. Very cool and interesting ideas out there, but we're still so fractured as a community. The only person that we all look at for content is Games Workshop, right?
Yep.
So since they don't really publish anything, it's really hard or they don't showcase community stuff, right? It's hard to have anyone even see your stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think that it's
Yeah.
narrative is in a tough position for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah. And I also would like to say, I have always been a big fan of your like Repentant Station content, your narrative content that
Amazing.
you've
Thank you.
introduced to the game. And I'm really, really excited to give Squad Ops a try. I'm planning to try it out this coming Wednesday at my Kill Team night.
Hell yeah.
I've posted it in my local Discord. People are really excited to try it out. People are like, they're drooling, Dakota. They're
That's amazing. That's good.
drooling for it. And so I'm definitely not the only one. So, and I just yeah, I totally see where your like own version of narrative is coming from, and I think it's a great take. And um yeah, it's tough. I think
It is
that's
very.
where we all end up at the end of the discussion, is that narrative is hard. Narrative is very hard. And sometimes when you're the organizer, narrative can seem or look like just the game with additional record keeping on top. And
Mhm.
nobody likes that.
Yeah.
It's just hard.
I
I'd agree.
dislike the last version of narrative a lot, because I hate bookkeeping.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like it's also hard to make stuff that like other people will like, and thank you for your high compliments, but like also like you put so much time and effort in it, like what Orion does with his crit miss. He puts so much time and effort into it. Like you would hope that he would run multiple things like that every year, but it is a huge time commitment, right? And like
Yeah.
I
Right.
would love to eat Orion's cooking, by far some of the best cooking I've ever had. Don't let my wife see this. Don't you guys clip this and send it to her, right? By far some of the him and Angel both have some amazing cooking, and Sheldon as well. Sheldon runs Grill Team, and people like donate a bunch of money so that he can make like fucking halibut for people, like for lunch. You're like, and dinner. You're like, what are you doing, Sheldon? But like, I think it's interesting because one of the things that is so underutilized in like just marketing for Kill Team is like differentiating your events from other people, right? And it's so hard without a platform to tell people why yours is cool, why this is that, why this is, here, because there's like 50 million Discords, there's 50 million Facebook messages, there's 50 million YouTube channels and podcasts. It's hard to let people know. I kind of wish Games Workshop would do like community highlights. I think that'd be sick. I think that'd be good for the game.
Yeah. That's what White Dwarf is supposed to be for.
That's fair.
I thought that was just to put random rules in so people spent extra money. That's all I've done it for.
For a very limited amount of stuff,
Damn. Calling out White Dwarf.
Hot take.
The only reason I bought one is because they snuck Kill Team rules into it, and I was like, all right, great, get rid of all this extra stuff. Let me pop out these cards real quick.
Dude,
Guilty as charged.
I had a subscription for like 8 years, and then I got rid of like 98 fucking magazines because I didn't have a place for them, I did learn some good painting techniques from them. But yeah, man. Hey, make sure you go into our Discord and let us know if you had fun or if you hated it, because it's still
I
relatively
absolutely
new, So I would love to hear about it. I've heard good things from everyone thus far, so it's only a matter of time before I hear some bad stuff. So
And when using squad ops, what truly will make it a narrative play system is if both players are approaching that system with the attitude of what equipment or what approach to the game am I taking that makes sense for my faction? What would my faction be doing in this situation? Not what is the best way to abuse the breacher charge or the plasma grenade? How can what broken or weird rules combination can I find to absolutely abuse the hell out of this one thing? Like that's not narrative play. Like I said, it's hard to define what narrative play is, but you can definitely define what it is not. And finding the most broken, most powerful, or taking the action or unit that is the most powerful because it is the most powerful, that is not narrative play.
Yeah.
That's
I
not
think
the
it'd be
spirit of narrative play.
it would be cool too if people were like, for narrative, like you could only have like like you had to bring warriors, you know? So like only
Absolutely.
partial of your team could be like actual real operatives. That'd be a cool little mechanic too, you know? For maybe like a mission, you know, just be like, oh, you can only have, you know, half of your team are allowed to be specialists, the rest have to be warriors. That would break goremongers.
Yeah, there's some teams that really benefit from that than others, and you have to do some. I think you have to do something similar where, I mean, I still would hate to leave some of these operatives. Again, I've never ran like the 6 aspirant list. You know, I really like. the
I've seen
Gormonger
it
guys,
done
'cause again,
in
I love
narrative.
just playing. Yeah, I just love the narrative theme of like, well,
I got
how am I
cooked.
going to get these guys in if I don't have a harpoon dude? I can't bring them closer to me if I don't have a harpoon.
It would be cool
Yeah.
if we had like 1 or 2. You know, that's what we should do for Kill Team. We should have like Games Workshop, instead of producing all narrative rules, we should have 1 or 2 like narrative driven operatives. Sure, you could use them in competitive play, but maybe they're not as good. But maybe they have like weird or interesting mechanics or something like that. That could be a really cool way for Games Workshop to help support Games Workshop without, I mean, Kill Team narrative without over providing with like, here's 72 different specialist options for 42 teams. Have fun. You know, like
Well,
that's
I believe they called that Commanders, and Commanders sucked butt.
that's fair. Elites was dope though. Elites was awesome.
Elites was dope. Yeah.
Elites was amazing. You know, I
Yeah.
loved bringing Wraithguard for my elves, you know?
I think the idea that was mentioned about having operative warrior variants
Mhm.
has legs there.
Yeah.
Like it's to use a Necromunda term, and I know someone else mentioned Necromunda. You know, you have like your basic guys. You know, you have your, I think they're called Juves. When you recruit them, and you have like, they're just like your basic person with nothing special. You've got your basic warriors, and then maybe you have like a couple flavors on that. I think that has some, that idea has some legs.
See,
Yeah,
and
we
that's
just
the
bare bones
beautiful.
putting two-
Yeah.
Sorry, good.
That's the beautiful thing about narrative is that like people, as long as you have like a need for it in your scene, you can make something and then play it. And then if it's like really popular, like push it out to people. And, you know, and that's kind of the glory of not having like a written in rule set. Cause dude, I even see, I'm not gonna lie,
agree.
Dungeons and Dragons 5e, like, or 5.5e, whatever you want to call it. There are so many sweatmongers in like that. Dude, when I used to play D&D 3.5 and 3.0, like before the internet was like super crazy, like you just build stuff, and Pathfinder, you just have stuff, you just make stuff. And now it's all about optimizing. How can I do 600 damage with this fireball? It's like, what are we doing, guys? That's not why we played Dungeons and Dragons. Maybe for some people, but not for me. Not for me.
Yep, I agree.
I think it's a every game system kind of thing rather than just the want to win shouldn't drive your want for fun, because it's called a game for a reason.
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe my take wasn't hot.
It might be hot for some people, you know, because I can tell you what, on Squad Ops, there are some people who are like, there's this one comment on our YouTube channel where somebody was like, oh, you mentioned a painting op. You don't know how to balance the game. I'm out. It's like, oh, you didn't even make it past the 5-minute mark. Cool, my guy. You know, it's like, but the thing is like, that's fair. That's valid. You know, some people don't want painting in their games, you know, and it is what it is.
Some
You know,
people are
not
wrong.
everyone wants narrative, you know? Yeah. So, but I appreciate you,
Great.
Yeah. brother. Thank you for calling in, and look forward
Thank
to
you,
having you
man.
on other ones. And, you know,
Yeah, I appreciate you guys.
yeah, sounds good. All right, guys. I think we're going to stop the stream here. We've gone 2 hours and 15 minutes. I told Orion 2 hours, so we're going to cut it here. If you guys have hot takes, if you could leave them for our next episode, we will be doing this again. And make sure you tell your friends about the show so it gets more popular if you guys like it, you know. We're going to be doing this on Monday, the 23rd of March. So that will be the next time that we have a hot takes episode. Thank you everyone for jumping in and giving us your hot takes. These are getting more entertaining as they are going, and I've been really enjoying them. Orion, thank you. Appreciate
thank
you,
you for
brother.
having me.
Yeah,
Yep, I got lots of painting done.
hell yeah. But we're gonna crash it out here, everyone. So thank you very much, and we're gonna see you.